Hello everyone, I am Carl and welcome to my first travel and exploration video on YouTube. I am so glad you are here watching. In this episode, we are going to explore the tomb of China's second to last emperor from the Qing dynasty. Right now, we are in Yi County, Hebei province, where this tomb is located. It honors Emperor Guangxu of the Qing dynasty. China's imperial tombs have a long and fascinating history. Both the Ming and Qing dynasties share many traditions and architectural features in their tomb designs. So let's begin our journey into this remarkable piece of history. Emperor Guangxu played an important role in China's modern history. After China was defeated by Japan in 1894, he launched a reform movement to change this old system. As the reforms went on, he even considered removing the power of his aunt, Empress Dowager Cixi. But Cixi still held enormous influence. She placed Emperor Guangxu under house arrest, and when she passed away in 1908, she ordered the emperor's doctors to give him poisoned medicine, which ended the life of this young emperor. After his death, the imperial government chose this site for his tomb. But at that time, China was too poor to carry out such a massive construction. In 1912, the Qing dynasty, the Chinese Empire, collapsed, and the Republic of China was founded. Surprisingly, it was the new Republican government that continued the construction of this tomb. However, the cost was still paid by the imperial household, who continued to live in the Forbidden City under the treaty between the fallen dynasty and the new republic. What we just saw, there is a structure called the Wangzhu Pillar. This pillar symbolized the imperial guard of honor. Normally, behind the Wangzhu, there should have been many stone figures, soldiers, officials, generals, all carved from stone to represent the emperor's ceremony procession. But by that time, both the Qing dynasty and the early Republic of China were already very poor, so most of these stone figures were never built. What remains today is only the Wangzhu itself. It reminds visitors that this was once a place of imperial dignity, and that anyone coming here to pay respects to the emperor should maintain a solemn and respectful attitude. Here we arrive at the first gate of the tomb, known as the Dragon and Phoenix Gate, symbolizing one dragon and one phoenix. The meaning behind this gate is very special. It was believed to be the passage for the souls of the emperor and empress to pass through. Ordinary people were not allowed to enter, so the gate has always remained tightly closed. This structure also has another name, the flames rising to the sky archway. From a distance, the shape of the gate looks like blazing flames shooting upward into the clouds, which is how it earned this powerful name. On both sides of this gate, you can see two small guardhouses. During the Qing dynasty, they were used by the imperial guards who protected the tomb. After the fall of the dynasty and the founding of the Republic of China, the same guards were reorganized into the 16th Division of the Chinese Army. So the little houses later became the quarters for the Republican soldiers guarding the tomb. On the east side of the main gate, there is a small courtyard called the Divine Kitchen. This was the place where formal meals were prepared for the deceased emperor and empress. In Qing dynasties, when an emperor passed away, later governments were required to guarantee him many honors. This building here, the Stele Pavilion, records these honors. Inside it, stands a large stone stele inscribed with the emperor's titles and achievements. Unfortunately, the stele itself is not open to the public, so it's difficult for us to see or film its original appearance. But we can still take a look at the carvings on the sides of the pavilion. You will notice that the craftsmanship here is not very refined, compared with the flourishing period of the early Qing dynasty. These carvings appear much more simplified and rough. This shows that by this time, both the Republic of China and the abdicated imperial family had very limited funds to spend on construction. After the pavilion we just saw, there is another structure called the Triple Arch Stone Bridge. Each bridge here has 3 arcs and 3 passageways. The central bridge was reserved for the spirits of the emperor and empress to pass through. The eastern bridge, in theory, was meant for future emperors, but since Emperor Guangxu's successor, Emperor Xuantong, soon abdicated, no other emperor ever came here. The western bridge was used by princes, nobles, and later officials of the Republic of China when they came to perform rituals at the tomb. Empress Longyu, the wife of the Guangxu emperor, was both his cousin and the niece of Empress Dowager Cixi. She was forced upon Guangxu as his consort by Cixi, who arranged the marriage against his will. As a result, Guangxu deeply disliked her. According to historical records, the two even quarreled violently, at times coming to blows. After the death of both Empress Dowager Cixi and Emperor Guangxu, the military and political authority of the empire effectively fell into the hands of Empress Longyu. It was she who ultimately made the fateful decision for the imperial court to abdicate and for the Republic of China to be established. She passed away in 1913, the second year of the Republic, and was buried here after her death. The gate in front of us is called the Longen Gate. This is actually the true main entrance to the tomb. The gate we saw earlier was only the beginning of the complex. Passing through the Longen Gate means we are formally entering the inner sacrificial area of the mausoleum, leading toward the burial chambers of the emperor and empress. Because of its function, this place carries a very solemn and dignified meaning. Since its completion, the main gate of Longen Gate has opened only twice, once to receive the emperor's coffin and once more for the empress. Beyond those solemn moments, it has remained firmly shut, sealed in silence through the centuries. If you look up at the plaque on the Longen Gate, you can see that it is badly damaged today. In earlier times, the characters on this plaque, written in both Chinese and Manchu, were made of copper. Because copper was valuable, these inscriptions became a target. After 1927, when the nationalist government took full control of China, this tomb was left completely unattended. The nationalists were opposed to the legacy of the Qing dynasty, so they offered no protection for this tomb. With no one guarding it, bandits and looters came frequently. They stole the copper characters from the plaque, leaving behind the broken and ruined appearance we see today. Now we stepped inside the Longen Gate, and right in front of us stands the Longen Hall. The name means Great Grace, symbolizing the deep favor and blessings that past emperors had bestowed upon their successors. On the east and the west sides of this hall are two smaller side halls. They were used by lamas, who came here to chant sutras for the emperor and empress, performing rituals to guide their souls. At the same time, during important periods of renovation, some of the ceremony objects from the Longen Hall were also stored in these side halls for safekeeping. Here on the south side of the East Hall, there is a small building that was used for burning paper offerings. In Chinese culture, and even in Indian traditions influenced by Buddhism, burning paper has always been part of honoring the dead. So the little house was built for tendering offerings to the emperor and empress after they passed away. From the outside, it looks quite pretty, but inside, the burning chamber was actually made of solid iron, so it was really tough and could last a long time. Right in front of the Longen Hall, there is a stone carved with a dragon and a phoenix. The dragon stands for the emperor and the phoenix for the empress. Now, usually in imperial tombs, their heads are carved pretty far apart, but here is something special. Emperor Guangxu and Empress Longyu didn't get along during their lifetime, so when the stone was carved, the craftsman actually placed the dragon's head and the phoenix's head really close together. It was like a silent wish, hoping that even if they couldn't live in harmony while alive, maybe in the afterlife they could finally rest together in peace. This little detail makes this tomb one of a kind in Chinese history. On the terrace in front of the Longen Hall, you can still see many stone bases. Originally, these bases supported bronze incense burners, crayons, and deer statues, all symbols of longevity and sacred ritual. However, during the turbulent years of the Republic of China, especially amid the civil wars, these bronze objects were stolen and sold off. Today, only the empty stone bases remain, silently reminding us of what once stood here. Now we have entered the interior of the Longen Hall, which was the former site of imperial rituals. Inside, you can see two thrones. The eastern throne belonged to the emperor and is decorated with dragon motifs. The western throne belonged to the empress and is carved with phoenix patterns. In front of the thrones are Buddhist ritual objects. During ceremonies, the spirit tablets of the emperor and empress would be brought out from a small chamber behind the hall and placed upon the thrones. When ceremonies were not being held, the tablets were stored back inside the chamber, known as the Nuange, or warm chamber, designed to retain warmth in the winter. To the east of the main Nuange was another chamber called the Buddha Hall, where Buddhist statues were enshrined. To the west stood a smaller Nuange that housed the spirit tablets of Emperor Guangxu's two consorts, Consort Zhen and Consort Qing. Consort Zhen, in particular, met a tragic fate. On the eve of the Eight-Nation Alliance invasion of Beijing in 1900, Empress Dowager Cixi ordered her to be thrown into a well, where she was killed. It was only after Cixi returned to Beijing that Consort Zhen's remains were recovered and reburied with proper rites. Back Back in the Qing dynasty and even later in the Republic, there were 5 big days when rituals were held for the Emperor and Empress: the Spring Festival, Qingming Festival, the Ghost Festival, their birthdays, and the Winter Solstice. On those days, huge offerings were prepared and the lamas came to chant prayers. And now, we have arrived at the back of Longen Hall, where the entrance to the underground palace begins. In the next episode, we will head in to see what the underground palace of China's second to last emperor really looks like, including the coffins of the emperor and empress, and the tragic story behind them. So don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time as we step into history together.